Hi, I'm Janelle Evans, and I want to share with you 10 things that you can do in under a minute to feel calmer. As I record this video, it is November 2nd, 2020, the night before we have our election in the United States, our presidential election. And, there is just a lot of anxiety and concern going on in our country right now, primarily due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the outcome of the presidential election, our awakening to correct social injustices, and many, many more issues. The constant changes and disruptions and uncertainty in our lives that we have all been managing all over the world, really, since March, have been nothing short of exhausting. And I want to focus in this video on ways that you can find calmness because I have clients and members of my Facebook group, over 1,000 people, who have been asking me, what can I do to help myself feel more calm every day? They know, people that know me know that I'm a certified mindfulness meditation instructor, and I do teach people over the period of anywhere from 5 to 8 weeks, depending on the program, how to meditate and how to sustain a daily practice, which is, of course, a very grounding and sustainable way to have a great sense of calmness all the time. But what I want to focus on tonight are really much shorter things that you can do. I call them mindfulness practices that take less than a minute, that bring you back to the present moment, and also help calm your nervous system. Because sometimes we're finding ourselves more in situations lately where our nervous system is aggravated and we're feeling upset or uncertain and having a range of emotions that we want to try to manage. So what can we do? Well, the first thing before doing any of the practices that I'm going to share in this video is to really choose to focus on what do I control and what do I not control, right? And lessen our attention on the things that we absolutely don't control. The second thing is that we must choose to take charge of our emotional home by intentionally creating calmness for ourselves throughout our day, and especially when we feel anxious and overly stressed. And while many of the challenges that are sort of the root causes of our stress will not dissipate overnight or weeks, even, there are some things that we can do throughout our day to interrupt what I would call the buildup of anxiety and chronic stress so that we can feel calmer and we can operate from a much more positive place despite our current realities. So, and the truth is, if we don't prioritize our well being and take charge of our emotional home, there are consequences. I mean, sometimes people, really suffer mentally, emotionally, and physically from things like depression, insomnia, headaches, high blood pressure, finding themselves overeating, over drinking, over shopping, some compulsive behaviors that really don't serve us. And those are just a few of the consequences of not doing anything. Some of us stay in a constant state of fight or flight. Our sympathetic nervous system's in overdrive, which fatigues us. It shoots cortisol and adrenaline through our body. It's akin to running your car and never turning it off, right? So you can imagine if we don't have some tools in our toolkit to manage our emotional home, that is in essence what is happening. Some of us can't sleep or function very well during the day because of all the worries that we have. The truth is, we're not trained early in life how to do this, how to manage our mindset, our thoughts, and our feelings. When we're feeling the opposite of calm, which is agitated, afraid, upset, stressed out, we need to do things to intentionally change our thoughts and our state so that we can shift our feelings to be purposely calm, peaceful, and serene. And while there are several practices that take much longer than a minute, such as meditation, yoga, journaling, being in nature. You probably do things yourself that really are calming for you. What I want to focus on in this video are really short mindfulness practices of less than a minute that can give you a break, can interrupt the pattern of stress continuing to build in your mind and in your heart. So these practices are really called Peace Finder practices. And I'm going to share them with you in exactly the same format as they were given to me as part of my training to be a mindfulness and meditation instructor. So let me first start by sharing those with you right now. So the very first one is to simply close your eyes. You can even do this in a Zoom meeting. It just takes 10 seconds, just close your eyes and sort of tune out to what is going on around you. When you feel that feeling of I'm getting anxious, I'm getting agitated, I know my blood pressure is raising, right? We know what that feels like. It's stressful, right? So these are sort of those little quick things that you can do, and just take a few, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever, and just tune out all of the visual stimulation around you to find that peace, find that inner calmness. It's like tapping your calmness button. So you can do that, and the outside world just takes a back seat while you just close your eyes. The second Peace Finder practice is feel your breath. So you can just do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed. Just focus your attention on your breath as you slowly take a breath in through your nose and let it slowly flow back out through your nose. Pause for 2 seconds and then repeat. So holding your breath after you exhale helps counteract the stress patterns of shallow breathing and holding your breath in holding your breath in. So it's just breathing in, breathing out, hold it for 2 seconds and repeat. The third Peace Finder practice is to count your breaths. With your eyes open or closed, you can count your breaths up to 10. For example, inhaling 1, exhaling 2, inhaling 3, exhaling 4, and following that pattern until you get up to 10. That also, and if your mind wanders during that, that's okay. Just come back to counting your breath. But that helps calm your nervous system. It's like hitting a reset button. And you probably have heard maybe all your life, when you feel stressed out, just take some deep breaths. Well, that's kind of what that third Peace Finder practice is all about. The fourth Peace Finder practice is what we call a 30-second body scan. And if you've ever meditated, you probably have done some kind of body scan where you call attention to the major parts of your body, starting with the top of your head all the way down to your toes, or starting with your toes and working all the way up to your head. And so just bring your attention to however your body is feeling silently to yourself as you kind of walk down your body. Let's just say you're starting at the top of your head all the way down to your toes, just sort of scanning, just releasing tension, from your head to your neck, your chest, your arms, your torso, your hips, your legs, all the way down to your toes. And just relaxing as you go. That one takes about a minute usually to do, and starting with relaxing your forehead, your cheeks, your face, your lips, and just bringing attention to those parts of your body and releasing tension really will relax you in such a short period of time. You'll feel so much better from the inside out. The fifth Peace Finder practice is to say a prayer or affirmation. A lot of people find prayer very calming. Other people who don't maybe want to choose prayer for this type of practice will say an affirmation, such as, all will be well. Peace begins within. This too shall pass. My mother used to say that one. This too shall pass. Those are just some examples, or you can focus just on a word and just repeat it at least 7 to 10 times. Again, that'll take 20, 30 seconds, and you'll just instantly calm down by just focusing your mind and your breath on that that prayer or that affirmation. The sixth Peace Finder practice is to just slow down. Whatever you're doing, just take it down in like 10 paces. If you are walking to your car, walk slowly. If you are preparing something, just dial it back and do whatever it is that you're doing almost in slow motion. That brings you into the present moment and it shifts you away from some negative thinking and to focus just on something very simple, as to just slowing down. This is akin to when people say, I get very zen or very relaxed when I fold laundry. I'm focusing on one thing versus multitasking, which our brains are really not designed to do that. And it causes a lot of stress. So just slowing down and being very deliberate in whatever it is that you're doing can be very helpful. I always like this if I am in a parking garage and I'm getting ready to maybe go into a meeting. I will sit in my car for 10, 15 seconds and just let go and imagine, that the meeting's going to go well. And then when I get out of my car, I really take my time walking to the elevator, going up the elevator to the meeting, walking out to the lobby, just really, really slowing everything down that I'm doing. The seventh Peace Finder practice is to pay attention to each of your senses. What are you hearing in this moment? What are you feeling? What are you seeing? Are you smelling anything? Are you tasting anything? Paying attention to your senses just allows your focus to shift back to the present moment, and it gives you just enough time to interrupt that stress cycle and to allow you a break in any kind of negativity, thought-provoking stuff that is going on for you. The eighth Peace Finder practice is to smile. And we can do this behind the mask that we're all wearing. And I have to say that, just as a sidebar, I think people have been a little unnerved not knowing if people are smiling or not behind the mask. So let's just make the assumption that people are, and we'll all feel better, right? So if you give yourself a smile, just doing that, even if it feels like you're faking it for a moment, it changes your state, it changes your energy, right? And it can reduce stress and interrupt that anxiety producing thing that is going on for you. So just faking it will help you feel happier. It changes you. It might feel strange at first, but if you can make it a point to smile more often, that can also help increase your sense of feeling calm and more peaceful. The ninth Peace Finder practice is to excuse yourself. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations that have become very controversial, or there's a lot of conflict going on, and sometimes we need to remove ourselves from that so then we can decide how we want to respond to something versus just having a reaction and having no emotional control, right? And that can be a much healthier practice for us, and certainly one that's going to help us feel more calm. So whenever you notice that you're getting really stressed out, that a situation is becoming very tense, simply excuse yourself and ask to come back and address maybe whatever it is that is creating that tension. But you might have to say, I've got to get back to a project, or I've got an appointment, and that can be with yourself. To go to the closest private space and do some of these other Peace Finder practices to find your calm, to breathe, to say an affirmation, whatever it is that for you would be very centering and very calming. You'll get away out of that situation, because emotions are contagious. It takes a lot of emotional self-control. If you're in a situation where you feel people are, acting out and not being civil and screaming or whatever, it's very hard to operate optimally in that kind of environment. And sometimes removing ourselves gives us an opportunity to get centered, and then we can come back and decide how we want to participate in that situation or not. And then the 10th Peace Finder practice is all about gratitude. And I know you probably have heard how powerful focusing on gratitude is to help shift our thinking to a more positive place. If we focus on what is working well, then that can help lift us out of any dark spiral of doom that we may have found ourselves in, if we are feeling a lot of stress and anxiety. Um, and I found that to be true. But here's what I want to say about gratitude. Practicing gratitude like it's some kind of to-do list or checklist does not give you what a practice of gratitude really can, because you almost have to marinate in gratitude and really focus on the feelings of what you're appreciating, much more so than just listing off several things. We could all come up with a list of 10 things, right? But to focus on just a few things, as a practice to try to shift your thoughts, which create our feelings. And if you want to shift your thoughts to a more positive place, gratitude is a great practice for doing that. But to really emotionalize it, it makes it much more powerful and much more effective as a practice to really change your emotional home. So those are the 10 practices, and I'll summarize really quickly. 1, close your eyes. 2, feel your breath. 3, count your breath. 4, do a 30-second body scan. 5, say a prayer or affirmation 7 to 10 times. 6, slow down. 7, pay attention to each one of your senses. 8, smile, even behind a mask. 9, excuse yourself. And 10, practice gratitude for 60 seconds. So what I want to say about that, if we do these practices, we will help ourselves be able to find our calmness by changing our thoughts, which then change our feelings. And we can erase, while we can't erase all of the challenges that we're facing right now, we can do those things. We can take charge of our thoughts and our feelings every single day. These intentional interruptions that we can employ through these 10 practices can redirect the routes of negativity and allow us to operate from a place of centeredness and calmness versus chaos and frustration. So I will close with a quote. Actually, I'm going to share 2 quotes because I really like both of them. The first one is from the Dalai Lama. A calm mind brings inner strength and self-confidence. So that's very important for good health. And the second quote is from Brian Tracy, speaker and author of 80 books. Set peace of mind as your highest goal and organize your life around it. Because at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is that we do have inner peace, right? We can have all the wealth, we can have all of the material things in the world, but if we don't have inner peace, that inner calmness, we're lacking. We're not as happy as we thought we could be, right? So I hope you will take some of these practices and put them into your toolkit so that you can feel calmer in less than a minute anytime that you feel the need to do so. Thank you.